Okay, picture this. You're standing in front of a room. Doesn't matter if it's like 10 of your colleagues or 1,000 strangers.
Mm-hmm.
The lighting feels a little too bright. Your palms are sweating so much, you're genuinely afraid you might drop the clicker.
Oh, yeah. And it'll just slide across the whole stage.
And your heart isn't just beating, it's trying to escape your rib cage.
And you have that nagging, terrifying, totally irrational thought that everyone is staring directly at your zipper.
Or that you have spinach in your teeth.
Or that you just forgot how to speak English entirely.
Exactly. And your brain just screams one word at you, run. Have you ever been there? Because I certainly have. It's that, that universal urge to flee rather than speak.
It's so primal. It is literally the fight or flight response just hijacking your brain. And honestly, if you haven't felt that, you might actually be a robot.
Right.
But here's the thing about that fear, and this is really the core idea we're tackling today. It doesn't have to disappear for you to be effective.
That is the headline. Today, we are doing a deep dive into Speak with No Fear by Mike Acker. And look, there are a million books on public speaking, but what I love about this one is that Acker isn't just some, natural-born orator.
Not at all. He was a nervous wreck.
A complete wreck.
He really was. I mean, he talks about getting nauseated, the shakes, the whole works, but he went from that to speaking in front of thousands. And his core message is, well, it's really refreshing. The goal isn't the absence of fear. It's the mastery of it.
Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. That's Mark Twain.
Precisely. You don't eliminate the tiger, you just learn how to ride it.
So our mission today is to walk you through Acker's 7-step method. We're going to try and transform you from that nauseated, sweaty mess into an energized, passionate presenter.
Or at least get you to a point where you don't want to throw up before a Tuesday morning status update.
That is a very
achievable goal.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a roadmap. We're going to talk about digging up old wounds, which sounds ominous, but is super helpful. Why you should actually spend time imagining the absolute worst-case scenario. And finally, how to stop obsessing over yourself.
Which is so much harder than it sounds.
So much harder.
Okay.
But let's start with the internal game. Acker has this concept he calls cleaning the wound. This is strategy number 1.
Right.
Now, usually when I prep for a speech, I'm thinking about my slides, my fonts, not cleaning a wound. What does he mean by that?
Well, think about where the fear actually comes from. Acker argues that for most of us, this fear isn't just some random generalized anxiety. It's rooted in a specific memory. A past trauma, really.
Like a ghost from speeches past.
Exactly. Maybe you froze up during a book report in 7th grade and the whole class laughed. Maybe a boss criticized you in front of the team. Acker calls that the wound.
Okay.
And if you don't clean it out, if you just slap a Band-Aid on it by saying, oh, I'll just try harder this time, it gets infected, it just festers.
So every time I step on stage today, I'm not just dealing with this speech. I'm subconsciously reliving that 7th grade book report.
You're carrying all that baggage with you. So Acker suggests a process he calls repurposing pain. You have to identify that specific bad experience.
You can't ignore it.
You can't. Write it down, look at it, and then find the utility in it.
Find the utility in bombing a presentation. That seems like a bit of a stretch.
It does, but maybe that failure taught you to prepare better. Maybe it made you more empathetic to others who struggle. Or, and this is my favorite part of his advice, you turn that story into a speech itself.
Oh, I like that. You take the power back.
You own it. If you tell the story of your failure, it can't hurt you anymore. It becomes a tool, a way to connect with the audience because it shows you're vulnerable.
Which actually leads perfectly into the next strategy because it involves looking failure right in the face. Strategy number 2 is imagine the worst.
And this is one of those really counterintuitive moments in the book.
Right, because all the advice is think positive, visualize the standing ovation. But Acker says, no, imagine the utter disaster.
It's all about psychology. See, vague fear is paralyzing because your imagination just runs wild. It's a monster in the closet. But specific fear is manageable.
Okay.
If you actually plan for the disaster, you control the emotion.
So if I'm worried I'm going to trip, I should imagine tripping.
Imagine tripping, imagine hitting the floor, imagine the audience gasping, and then ask yourself, okay, then what? You stand up, you brush yourself off, maybe you make a joke, you keep going. The point is, you realize you won't actually die.
And Acker has some personal experience with this, doesn't he? I was reading his Hall of Shame in the source material, and I was crying laughing.
Oh, it is brutal. He really puts it all out there. It makes him so human.
Can we just share a couple of these? Because they honestly make me feel so much better about my own awkward moments.
Please, go for it.
Okay, so one time, he's speaking to high school students. High-stakes audience, by the way.
Yeah.
Teenagers are just ruthless.
The most ruthless, yeah.
He intends to say, today we're going to be discussing the effects of pornography. Instead, what comes out is, today we're going to be looking at pornography.
Oh, no.
In front of high schoolers.
Wow.
You just can't recover from that.
That is the nightmare scenario. I mean, the room must have just exploded.
And then there's the time he called a woman in the audience old but desirable.
While her husband was sitting right there next to her.
Why would you even say that?
Nerves. Your brain misfires. You try to say distinguished and beautiful at the same time, and it comes out, well, wrong. And, of course, the classic. The time he realized his fly might be down.
The universal fear.
But his point is, he survived.
He survived.
Exactly, and that's the key. He suggests doing a pros and cons list. On one side, write the absolute worst things that could happen, blushing, stumbling, total embarrassment. On the other side, write the pros, career advancement, influencing people, sharing your message.
And when you actually look at it on paper,
You realize the pros have a much longer shelf life. The embarrassment of a stumble lasts maybe 10 minutes. The career impact of a great presentation can last for years.
that really puts it in perspective. Okay, let's move to segment 2. We've cleaned the wound. We've imagined the disaster. Now we're actually on stage. Strategy 3 is you be you.
Authenticity. It's such a buzzword, but in public speaking, it's just survival.
I feel like a lot of us fall into that professional speaker trap. You get behind a podium and suddenly you think you need to sound like Barack Obama or Steve Jobs. You put on this voice.
Acker calls that the avatar trap. When you try to be a character, you actually increase your fear.
Wait, why is that?
Because now you're performing. You have to remember your lines and your character. It's twice the cognitive load. Plus, the audience can smell it a mile away. They know when you're faking it.
The sources had some great examples from stand-up comedy here.
Oh, yeah. Comedians are masters of this. Look at someone like Robin Williams. He was just manic. He had this phonetic energy. If he had tried to be some calm, stoic guy, he would have bombed. He used his natural energy.
Or Drew Lynch.
Drew Lynch is a fantastic example. He developed a severe stutter from a sports injury. Instead of hiding it, he made it the centerpiece of his whole act. He just leaned right into it.
So the takeaway isn't be funny like a comedian. It's more like use what you have.
Exactly. If you're a quiet, analytical person, don't try to be a cheerleader on stage.
Yeah.
Be the thoughtful, deep expert. If you're high energy, don't try to be a somber professor.
Acker has a great line about this. He says something like, listen to 1 and become a clone. Listen to 2, become confused. Listen to 3 or more and gain confidence.
Right. Learn from the masters, but don't try to become them. You are the message.
Okay, so we're being ourselves, but we're still staring at this sea of faces. And that brings us to segment 3, which I think is the biggest mental shift in this whole deep dive. Strategy 4, speak to 1.
This is how you deconstruct the monster. A crowd is a scary concept. It's a faceless blob that's judging you. But a person is just a person. A person can be a friend.
He says, make the big room small.
And he gives very specific, actionable advice on how to do this. The 3 to 5 person rule.
I love this because it's so practical.
Yeah.
He says, do not hide backstage.
No, that is the worst thing you can do. Just sitting in the green room, letting your anxiety boil over. He says, get there an hour early. Go out into the audience, introduce yourself, shake some hands.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'll be up there in a bit.
Exactly. Ask them their names. Ask them why they came. Learn a little bit of their story.
So how does that change things when you actually get on stage?
Well, suddenly you aren't talking to the audience anymore. You're looking out and you see Sam, you see Sarah, you see the people you just chatted with. You're just continuing the conversation.
It humanizes the whole room.
It breaks that us versus them dynamic, and it leads directly into strategy 5, which is honestly the harsh truth we all just need to hear.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's not about you.
Ouch. But also, thank God.
It's so liberating, isn't it? We get so self-obsessed when we're nervous. Do I look okay? Is my voice shaking? Do they like me? Acker calls this the wake-up reality check.
Walk us through that.
Think about when you woke up this morning. What was your very first thought?
Honestly, I need coffee, and I really do not want to get out of bed.
Exactly. You weren't thinking about some speaker you're going to see later today. You were thinking about your bladder, your breakfast, your to-do list.
And the audience is the same way.
They are sitting there worrying about their own emails, their own bad hair day, or if they left the stove on. They are not scrutinizing your zipper unless you really draw attention to it.
So how do we use that to lower the fear?
You shift your focus from how do I look to how can I serve. When you focus on helping the audience, on giving them value, on teaching them something, your self-consciousness just fades away.
That makes sense.
You can't be obsessed with yourself and obsessed with serving others at the same time.
It's like being a host at a party. If you're busy getting people drinks and making sure they're comfortable, you forget to feel awkward.
That is a perfect analogy. Be the host, not the performer.
Okay, so we've got the mindset. We're serving, not performing, but physically. My body is still freaking out. I've got all this adrenaline. Let's talk about segment 4, energy and execution. Strategy 6 is channel the power.
This is where we reframe what nervousness even is. We usually think of adrenaline as a bad thing. We want to get rid of it. We want to be calm.
Calm, cool, and collected.
But Acker says, no, you don't want to be flat. You want energy. He uses the analogy of a hydroelectric dam.
Okay, break that down for us.
Imagine a raging river. That's your fear. That's your adrenaline. If you try to just stop the river to block it completely, the pressure builds up and you explode. That's a panic attack.
Okay.
But if you build a dam, you don't stop the water. You channel it. You push it through turbines and create electricity. That adrenaline is energy. It's passion. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be nervous.
So the shaking hands, the racing heart, that's just potential power.
It's rocket fuel. You just have to direct it. And he gives some really physical tactics for this.
One of them is movement, right?
Yes. But don't just pace like a caged tiger. That makes everyone nervous. Move with purpose. He suggests using a triangle method.
What's that?
You pick 3 spots on the stage. Move to spot A for your first point. Stay there. Deliver it. Then you purposefully walk to spot B for your second point. It burns off that nervous energy, but it looks like you're in total control.
That's smart. It gives your legs something to do.
Exactly. And then there are pauses. When your heart is racing, you tend to talk faster and faster.
The runaway train effect.
Right. A deliberate pause acts like a break. It lets you breathe, and it actually makes you look more confident. The audience thinks you're being thoughtful, but you're really just catching your breath.
I also noticed he has a specific physical prep routine. Like actual gym advice.
He does. He treats speaking like an athletic event.
Which kind of is.
It is. So he says, 3 days before the speech, do a light workout. 2 days before, go hard. Exhaust yourself.
By 2 days before.
You want to burn off all that excess cortisol and tension so you aren't jittery. Then, the day before, you rest. So on game day, your body is calm but ready to go.
That is surprisingly practical. I love that. Okay, we've prepped, we've channeled the power, we're doing it. That brings us to the final strategy. Strategy 7, be in the moment.
This is the Zen part of the method.
It brings up the 1-2-3-R method.
Right. Prepare, present, reflect, repeat. The key here is to compartmentalize those stages. When you are in the present stage, when you are on stage, the prep is done.
No more tweaking slides in your head.
Exactly. And more importantly, no shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Oh, that's the killer. You're in the middle of a speech and you think, I forgot to mention the sales figures, and suddenly you derail the rest of the talk just beating yourself up.
Acker says, once you're on stage, if you mess up, move on. Be present. Enjoy the connection. If you forget a point, nobody knows but you.
That's the secret, isn't it? They don't have your script.
They have no idea. Just keep flowing. And then, only after it's over, do you move to the reflect stage. That's when you look at what went wrong. Not to beat yourself up, but to improve for the next time.
Because it's a cycle. Repeat. You're not trying to give one perfect speech. You're trying to become a better speaker.
It's a lifetime of improvement.
So let's just recap where we've been. We started with cleaning the wound, identifying those old ghosts. We moved to imagining the worst to take away its power. We talked about being authentic, connecting with individuals, and realizing it's not about us. It's about serving them.
And finally, taking all that nervous energy and channeling it into passion.
It really reframes the whole experience. I think for me, the biggest takeaway is that fear isn't the enemy.
No, fear is a sign that you care. And that is a beautiful thing. If you didn't give a rip about the presentation, you'd be perfectly calm. But you'd also probably be really boring.
That's so true. The energy comes from the caring.
You use that care to serve the person in the back row.
So here's our final thought for you to chew on. We mentioned Mark Twain earlier, but I want to leave you with a challenge based on that. The next time you're sitting in a meeting waiting for your turn, and you feel that heart rate spike,
Don't try to force yourself to be calm. Don't fight it.
instead, ask yourself this: how can I use this adrenaline to help someone in this room?
Shift the focus, ride the wave.
Exactly. Now, if this deep dive helped lower your heart rate even a little bit, do us a favor
Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. We've got more skills to unlock.
and share this with that friend who is currently panicking about their presentation next week. You know the one. They need this. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Speak soon.